I do not belong here. I do not belong here. Okay. You might be watching this right now. If you're a Black woman in a toxic job, you may say to yourself, I do not belong here. And pay attention to that sign because more than likely you don't belong there. Now, you might have gotten that message in a different way than you thinking that, in the sense that people may have treated you in such a way that it's not welcoming or making you feel like you're othered or there's something wrong with you or you're not good enough. You may get that message in terms of how people are treating you, how people are talking to you at that toxic job. So that is a sign that that's not a healthy environment for you. So again, you might get the message that you don't belong here. Again, they might say things, you might kind of catch it. You might also pick up on nonverbal things. So that's the one thing. The other thing in terms of feeling like you don't belong there is that you may know deep in your gut that this is not the place for you. You may know deep in your gut that this environment is not going to be respectful towards you. It's not an environment that's going to allow you to grow. So you may already know that you don't belong here. So belonging and safety, very important in terms of when we think about our functioning and our well-being. So again, not that we think that all jobs are going to be perfect and they're going to be open arms and we're naive in any way. We are not, as Black women, as we come into the workplace. We have an understanding many times of how people may perceive us. They may perceive us in terms of, oh, she's great, we're going to have her come in and do this work. However, what we might experience is that when we do the work, we're not respected for the work. So when I talk about this, I want to share my own experiences in terms of things that I have gone through in the workplace. So you can see what I'm talking about when I talk about I felt like I didn't belong. Now, they were doing things too to make me feel like I didn't belong. Let's not discount that. They were absolutely doing those things. But again, saying, oh no, our unit is for this and we're for that. Clearly not. So I'm focused less on that. I'm focusing more so in terms of how I knew that I did not belong in that toxic job. So one, I'll give just examples. So again, I work for the school district. I work for the second largest school district in the nation. And I was the only clinical psychologist by the time I left. I was the only clinical psychologist in the whole district. So before that, there were two of us. That person who brought me into the district eventually left because he was not happy with the job. He eventually left, and I was the only one in the whole school district. So I'm in a unit where there's other people who have a mental health background. But again, I'm the only clinical psychologist. So most of everybody else in that unit were all social workers. So the vast majority of my colleagues, I got along great with, no issues with. However, there were some insecure people who wanted me to know I did not belong. And when you think about even the workplace bully, that workplace bully did many, many, many things to let me know I did not belong and that she did not respect me. So again, even though I have a higher degree and a lot more experience than most of the people in that unit, I was not treated as if I belonged. I was treated as I was less than. I was treated as, oh, you need to do what they're doing, or you need to get their experience, even though, again, higher degree, more experience. Not to look down on my colleagues at all. And I'm sure the vast majority of my colleagues whom I work with will tell you I never presented myself as I'm better than you or anything like that. However, I'm saying this in the sense of how it was that I came to believe and know that I did not belong there. So she's doing these things again. She's like talking about me behind my back in front of people in public, criticizing me, talking about my work performance. But yet again, all my work evaluations were outstanding, glowing to the point that I'm training other staff. So she never came to me and said these things. It was never on my job evaluation. But when we talk about character assassination, she was talking about me about, about things that were not true in an open format so other people could hear it. And she was saying these things to to my colleagues. So just think about that. So I knew I didn't belong in that regard. So that was the one thing. The other thing was when somebody is so invested in trying to make you think that even though you have this degree, you're still not good enough. You still are not to the level as everyone else. Even though we know, like I just said, I have more experience, higher degree, and my work performance showed that I was up and above what I needed to do. So when that happens, when people start gaslighting you in your work environment, and I just talked about this with Rashida Dow in terms of the gaslighting. So that video that we just did was kick that toxic job to the curb and live the life of your dreams. So I'll put that video in the description section. She was also talking about this, that she experienced the same thing, that brought in because of her level of expertise, yet when she's in the workplace, people are not respecting it. Now, again, the vast majority of the people in my workplace did respect my work. This workplace bully did not. And I'm pretty sure she was intimidated by what I brought to the table, even though she hired me and she even promoted me at a certain point, but then she ended up demoting me. But another thing. Okay. So that's the one thing. So when people gaslight you in the workplace, you might start gaslighting yourself. So self-gaslighting yourself. Am I? Like, did I? Am I? Like you start questioning yourself. The fortunate thing is that I have enough self-esteem and I know my worth that I was able to like quickly say, no, that's her. That's not me. And I was able to hear other people who valued me in the workplace. So you might be able to have people who counter that negative gaslighting. Okay. So you don't start self-gaslighting yourself. The other thing is, again, something that Rashida talked about was when she was in a toxic workplace, the person said to her, even though she had done this outstanding thing, the person said, oh, you showed too much initiative. Even though because of her work, they were able to close a deal, the company got a lot of money because of her work. So she was dinged for showing too much initiative. So again, we think about Black women in the workplace, sometimes we're criticized for being too much, or we're criticized for not being enough. So we might be hypervisible, like people watching everything we do. Rashida told a crazy story. Please check out that video so you can listen to this crazy story about a colleague trying to check on when she clocked in or not. Whatever, it's just ridiculous. So anyway, you might be in a situation where, again, you're hypervisible, people watch everything you do, but yet you are strangely invisible when opportunities come available. Promotion, people saying your name in rooms that you're not in a positive way. Just you're invisible in those situations. So for me, that workplace bully used to tell other people that I showed a lack of initiative, even though, again, I'm doing my job and I'm doing up and above to the point where I'm training other people. And I'm creating things that have never, ever been done in the district. I'm doing these things and doing them very well to the point where other people throughout the district are contacting me. But she's saying, I show no initiative. Okay, so keep that in mind. And the things that I would come to her about, she would always shoot down, or she would say, oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. And then the last minute she would say no, but then she'd come back and say, I showed a lack of initiative. Okay, keep that in mind. The other thing I wanted to point out was, when you think about I don't belong. So when I first came to the school district, again, second largest school district in the nation, I was hired into a unit where most of the people were social workers. I was the only clinical psychologist in my area. And so testing is part of my training. So when I came in, I'm not quite sure how the person before me was, that person had retired, but I don't think they were doing that much testing. So they weren't used to having a clinical psych who was doing testing. So I didn't do any testing no testing at all when I was at that position as a clinical psychologist in the clinic. No testing at all. No referrals, no testing, but there were other work duties that I did. So keep that in mind, because when I was demoted, the workplace bully's friend, remember I talked about how they connected. You may not know how they connected, but they are connected. I knew that they were connected. But at your job, you may not know how people are connected. I just want to put that out there. So when I was demoted, the friend of the workplace bully told me, no, you have to go back to this position because we need you to do testing, and you do testing. And I said, I've never done testing, which is a lie. Okay. So in terms, I knew I didn't belong because this person was flat out lying in my face. The other thing is, it's so funny that that issue came up when he's trying to present why I need to go back to this entry level position, which was a total lie. Okay. So what's so funny about that is that now in my private practice, I do testing on my own terms of kids, and it's a sizable part of my income, which is really funny. Okay. The other part in terms of not knowing that I did not belong was when I was demoted, they also said to me, which I also believe is a lie, two things. They said that I would have to apply for another position because that entry level position that they had reopened for me, which they had previously closed, they reopened it to demote me, and they said that they'll probably only have this position open for a year, and that I would need to apply for another job, another position within the district. And if I didn't get another position within the district, then I would be laid off. Even though I had been to the job, I think about 12 years at this point, but you're just going to lay me off. What? Like, what are you talking about? So again, that's giving me more fuel, more data so I knew I did not belong there. So that was the one thing. The other thing was because my job description was very specific, because as I said, I ended up the only clinical psychologist in the whole district. They said, based on my job description, the vast majority of jobs I couldn't even apply for because of my job description. When I was able to find jobs that I was able to apply for, and it was like not real things that you had to have, but whatever. I'm not going to go there. But anyway, so when I did find those jobs, they still blocked me and said, no, you can't apply for those jobs. They blocked me from applying for those jobs that I did qualify for, and in terms of my job description. And when I interviewed for other jobs that were like comparable to the job that I just had in terms of the position that I was demoted from, I would interview and I would nail the interview because I was just doing that work. And I never heard back from people about the outcome of the interviews. Okay, so just think about that. Okay, so again, things might be happening in your workplace. I'm sharing with you about things that happened to me for you to be able to reflect about, are there things going on in your workplace that make you feel like you don't belong? Like you know it in your gut. Pay attention to that, because guess what? You don't belong there. You don't belong there. If you're feeling that way, they might be doing stuff and you feel it in your gut. I don't belong here. I deserve better than that. You do. You do deserve better. And so my hope is that you know you deserve better and you get better. You deserve to be in an environment where you are respected, where you're growing professionally, and you're getting the financial compensation, the financial reward. I'm telling you, I'm so thankful that I left, that I pivoted and I left, because I knew I deserved better. All this ridiculous stuff was happening. I was like, I know I deserve better than this. This is craziness. This is straight up craziness. Like you trying to get in my head and trying to make me think that I'm less than and I'm more than. Are you kidding me? So my hope is that you have that knowing about yourself. You have that knowing about your worth. And again, if you want more information about what I talked about, check out the video I'm going to have in the description section for Rashida, the interview I had with Rashida. And if you are in a toxic job, you feel like you don't belong, you ready, you feel in that gut and you ready to go, then let's talk. Book a discovery call with me. Let's talk in terms of how I can possibly support you in terms of getting your exit plan together and getting out to get to the place where you need to go, where you are respected, where you are growing, and you are being financially rewarded. Okay. So I'm signing off. Again, click in the link to get on my calendar so you can book a discovery call and we can talk about how I can help you get out of environments where you know that you do not belong, because you don't. You know you feel it. Don't ignore that. Okay. Okay. So I'm signing off. Give this video a thumbs up and also share this video with at least one other woman. If you know another Black woman, more than likely she's in a toxic job. So share this video with her as well. Okay. Signing off. Take care. Bye-bye.